Hey, good morning. In the background, you can see a little cat fight. I've got a kitten to play with my older cat, a 2.5-year old cat. So that's probably a little bit more entertaining than the show, but we'll let them have their fun. Anyway, today I thought I would address the issues I have had with Howard Stern because the topic is why I stopped listening. Well, last week he came back a bit early and I missed one or two shows. And then I caught up and listened to them on the replay. And then I went on my typical Twitter rant about how the show is not as good as it used to be and all that. And there were comments, why do you listen? Why do you listen? You complain constantly about the show, which is true. So I thought I'd explain why I listened for since 2006 until now and in the late 90s for 1 year. It's because he's going through the motions. Look, he picked up a massive amount of money. So you can't really say, wow, why would he do it? Well, he did it because he's got a following, but maybe they're dwindling. They have to be dwindling at this point. Um, I can't imagine that the listeners are still there or the viewers on his whatever video accessibility is. He sits and yaks about nothing for an hour with Robin, who's, not that big a deal anymore. She doesn't do her news, so nobody gets to even hear her tiny bit of intelligent wit that comes at the end of the show anymore. She's basically a cackling laugher to Howard's poor attempt at humor and interesting stories. Sure, I mean, his parents, his father died, his mother's getting old and almost dead. So he yaks about that for quite a bit. Then he hyped some stupid interview with Bruce Springsteen from 6 weeks ago or 2 months ago. He's still talking about it like he's the inventor of electricity because he talked to Bruce Springsteen. Big fucking deal. Bruce Springsteen has nothing to gain by doing his show. Uh, so he must have just done it as a favor to Baba Booey. And I guess as far as interviews go, the Springsteen interview was passable. It wasn't terrible. But Howard has a predictable way of conducting interviews. So he's going to start discussing how he started, how he figured out how to write music. Then it's back to the father, that the father didn't like him at first and he didn't get along with his father because Howard didn't get along with his father. So we all know that this is a recurring interview theme. So his interviews to me are absolute garbage. I have interviewed people on my mini show. I am not in his class. I'm not delusional. I'm not saying I'm anything compared to him. If you take his body of work since the later 70s when he got a bit of a name up until, let's say, 2012, 11, whatever, you see the dip in creativity. You see the dip of popularity. He whines constantly, He's got this cavalcade of Chris Wilding gay themed interviews and discussions. He's got men in there doing stupid discussions about gay stuff because he no longer feels he has to be um, associated with stripping sexy women. So now it's men. So I guess if that's what you're into, you might find that interesting. But I don't. I find it stupid. I'm not saying, glorifying strippers was anything great either. It was good, and it kind of ran its course. How many times can you have a woman in there doing a contest, or a man, and the woman has to take off her clothes if the man loses, so his girlfriend has to take her clothes off. Stern couldn't do that anymore because that's objectifying women and making them take their clothes off. It's kind of not acceptable today. And he no longer wants to insult any media stars uh, anymore. Maybe he'll do it a bit, but in general, he doesn't diss most of the stars. Why? Because it gets them all excited to have him on the show, so he gets to interview them. So he won't rip on these stars anymore, or he does it in a minimal way. And he no longer kind of does the celebrity interview thing like on the street that he did with John Melendez, which was good. At that point, he tried to embarrass them. He wrote questions that would make them embarrassed. Stuttering John did a great job. Gary Garver. Now Wolfie goes to stupid events and talks to underdog women and goes to other conventions of stupidity and discusses stuff with them. So this is basically the format of the show. The edge is gone. The interviews are dull. They're boring. Then he crows for 2, 4, or 6 weeks about how great his interview was. So instead of listening to the stupid show where he's going to interview JB Smoove, who I have nothing against, he's a funny guy. He was on Curb, he was on another show, he's doing commercials. I mean, it's not that I dislike JB Smoove or even Lizzo or all these other people or Springsteen. It's just Howard doesn't do them justice. He kisses their ass. He talks about frivolous stuff, and occasionally it'll keep me going. So the current ratio of what I liked on the show versus what I don't. It's currently was at 25% enjoyment, 75% was listening out of loyalty and trying to make up for all the years I couldn't get Howard Stern in the 90s. I got him 1 year in the 90s. Then when Sirius came around in 2006, I jumped through hoops to get that. I had to go to the States because Canada's government didn't want to let the Sirius with Howard on for the first month. So I had to go to Vermont, a winter storm, buy it, install it and other equipment. And they broke all of the time the wires and interference problems. I couldn't hear the show in the car a lot. It kept breaking down. So now I've basically learned to appreciate other channels like Mad Dog, all the music. Sometimes I don't want to watch TV, so I'll listen to CNN, Fox, or MSNBC, or even the NBC Nightly News. So there's a lot of reasons to keep me around for it's serious. And I'm going to end the Howard Stern discussion with 3 years ago, I tried this. And after 2 weeks, I broke down and I went back. Why? Because I kept thinking that a lousy Howard Stern show is better than no Howard Stern show. But I'm going to keep trying to stay away. I'm going to give it my best to not listen again. And I'm almost 100% sure I will go back because somebody will comment on something amazing that happened that was interesting. And then I'll be curious and then I'll probably go back. But for now, Eddie G's Music World, Eddie G is staying off Channel 100. And I'll keep you up to date if they go back. I hope the cats are entertaining. They told me if they were in the video that I would have to give them more cat food. So with all the proceeds I make from the show, I'll throw them a few more cans of food. Here, why don't I dip into a few of the 1960s one-hit wonders that I find so captivating. Um, let's see. I'm gonna get a visual. Maybe I don't need the visual aid. I'll just discuss it. Larry Hall Sandy. This is January 1960. I was a month away from being born. After looking this over, there isn't much to say about the guy. Uh, he had some famous producers help him out, but look, I don't know the guy that well, so I'm almost sure the listeners don't either, or the viewers. Mark Dinning, Teen Angel. That I do know is a tragedy song about a car crash and some girl died, and from that it got a lot of airplay. I remember, and it's a classic, sad song. Spencer Ross Tracy's theme. This is almost no information about this. He did a lot of behind the scenes work in the Juilliard School of Music, but Tracy's theme, I don't know. Little Dippers Forever. I bet somebody of notoriety came out of this group. That's what happens with a lot of these old songs. Anita Care Singers, I heard of them. She played piano. She must have been a part of this group. Yeah. Nashville song. So we'll go to the next one because this is not very interesting. Connie Stevens, she was a popular TV actress, blonde, nice looking woman, and I think she still could be alive. If she had a hit in 1960, I'm pretty sure she's got to be in her 80s, but I'll look it up. Oh, my kitten is walking and the other cat's looking at her. Wow, that's fascinating. So it's 16 reasons. Could this have been something to do with 16 candles? It mentions the show she was on, the Bob Cummings show I heard of, Sugarfoot, and she did some movies too. Billy Bland, Let the Little Girl Dance. This is, I guess, a crossover hit because a lot of the black singers back then were categorized as black music, but this was popular with the top 40 charts too. I do remember it, and it was a catchy little tune. Um, they didn't let the girl dance. A lot of the songs very soulful. All the songs after that, but they didn't keep them in the stardom section. Gene Black, He'll Have to Stay. That sounds like a song I might have heard way back when. Couldn't have been anything that recurs on the radio way after the time that it was a hit, though. It was some kind of connection to another song called He'll Have to Go. Okay, so it was an answer song that they they did. Ron Holden, Love You So. I don't know. We're getting into this quagmire of songs I don't know. Considering I was only 3 months old and these songs didn't get a lot of airplay after they were hits, it's no shock that I'm not familiar with them from way back then. But there wasn't a lot of memories of this song at all. Now, this one was huge. I do know it. And it was so big. It was in movies, probably a commercial or two. Alley Oop by Dante and the Evergreens. Alley Oop. It's a great little gimmicky pop song. Um, but
It had a reference to caveman. Uh, Whatever they did to follow up, it didn't turn into a long career for them. Guessing somebody here, look, producer was Herb Alpert and Lou Adler, and they became moguls in the music business. The Fenderman, Mule Skinner, it was Mule Skinner blues. It was kind of like a countryish, hick sounding song. Um, Jimmy Rogers, I think he was in that song and that group, and he had a lot of hits after that. Then the Hollywood Argyles had their version of Alley Oop. I knew there were two that did this song. And I think I remember both, and I think I remember liking the Hollywood Argyles more. So if you feel like wasting 3, 4 minutes of your life, go look it up. It's a pretty good song. Hank Lachlan, Please Help Me, I'm Falling. Now, this is a country classic and a big pop song. I do know it very well, and it's worth checking out. It's definitely was a kind of mix of country and pop. Gary Miles, Look for a Star, also a one hit wonder. Um, there really didn't seem to be much going on with this guy except that he was in Ronnie and the Daytonas, and I think one of the Beach Boys was in that, if I'm correct. It was the guy who wrote I Write the Song. Bruce Johnston, I think, was in Ronnie and the Daytonas. Safaris, I think they had a song called Wipeout. Maybe that wasn't a hit, but it's back in August. Image of a Girl. And for sure, if it's the band that did Wipeout, you would definitely be impressed with hearing Wipeout. As far as Image of a Girl, it's not a song I know, so I'll move on. Dimensions, Over the Rainbow. Wow. I would have thought, let's see, somebody seems to be viewing. Maybe they got lost. I'm just going to say hi and see who they are. If they want to say hi back, they can. It's fine. Um, I'm going to close out 1960 with the one hit wonders. Uh, I hope this is at least a little bit interesting. If not, go a little earlier on in my video and you'll see a whole rundown of why I don't like Howard Stern anymore. Okay, next, Ivy 3, the song is Yogi. Was that about the bear? Huh. Sounds like a lot of unknown people in this band, nobody of any notoriety. Jimmy Charles, A Million to One. Patterson, New Jersey. He's from there. Larry Verne, next one. Mr. Custer, uh, a dopey song. Let's be honest, it wasn't of any great brilliance. It's about the Custer's last stand. Larry Verne was a gimmicky type of song. Bob Blueman, Let's Think About Living. That's a good upbeat song that was really a big hit back then. I remember hearing it on the radio, maybe not at 8 months old, but I did hear them when it was in the mid 60s. It got a lot of airplay. Um, I think Johnny Cash helped him with music a bit or brought him into the studio. Paradons, Diamonds and Pearls, a band, but Louisiana rockabilly. Now, the next one I really know pretty well. You Talk Too Much, Joe Jones. That's from November 1960. It's cute. It's about a woman who talks too much, and it's a bit condescending to women. So nowadays, that kind of thing probably wouldn't go over too well. But back in the day, they didn't care that much about about being politically correct and saying the right thing. Oh, he knew Sylvia from Mickey and Sylvia. Love is Strange, their song. Maurice Williams and the Zodiacs, massive song. November 21st. It was huge, and luckily for Maurice Williams, who wrote it, it became huge for Jackson Browne when the loadout, because he had the loadout and slash stay, which was a remake. And unfortunately, when I saw Jackson Browne in April of 2022, he did not do the song. He was an opening act, so most probably he had like 30, 40 minutes to pack whatever songs he wanted in there. Unfortunately, he wanted a few unknown ones that made no room for this one. So I didn't get to hear it live, but it's worth listening to. Sailor is a song by the group Lolita. Really lost that one. I'm going to have to look that up right after this. It was for foreign words. Anyway, look, nobody's going to be excited to hear more about Lolita's song Sailor. So with that, I sum up my show for today. A bit of Howard Stern, a bit of One Hit Wonders, and currently my 11-year-old son has 4 times more subscriptions than I do. So, the kid is a whiz. He's all about doing a show a day and puts a lot of work into it. So he didn't get that from me, but the kid is phenomenal. I won't promote a show because who knows, maybe some character will bother him on a show because I said it. So thank you very much. Eddie G's Music World signing off. Happy to see that the world is still turning. Goodbye.